My name is Margaret. My son looked at me like I was a stranger. Not because I lied to him. Not because I betrayed him. But because I opened a door my husband begged me never to open. I was 67 years old when I finally turned that key. Inside that room was proof that the man I loved for 37 years had lived an entire second life. A daughter he never told me about. A daughter he watched from a distance for 44 years. When I brought her into our home, my husband was already dead, and my son decided I was dead to him too. I didn't realize it then, but opening that door would cost me my family. Let me tell you what I found inside. Before I continue, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment where you're watching from. Your support truly means the world to me. If you think this story ends with forgiveness, it doesn't. The church smelled like lilies and old wood. I hate lilies now. They lined his casket, dark mahogany with brass handles he would have called too expensive. But our son insisted. Our son, who stood 3 feet away from me during the entire service. Close enough to look like family. Far enough that I felt completely alone. I remember staring at Richard's hands, folded across his chest, his wedding ring catching the light from the stained glass windows. He wore his favorite jacket, the brown corduroy one with the patches on the elbows. I could still smell his cologne when I leaned over to say goodbye. Sandalwood and cedar. 37 years of that smell on my pillows. I thought losing him would be the hardest part. I was wrong. The house felt wrong when I came home. Empty in a way it had never been empty before. His chair sat by the window. The cushion still had the impression of his body. His reading glasses on the side table. His coffee mug in the sink. I couldn't wash it. Not yet. My son Michael came by that first week. He didn't stay long. He asked about the will. About the house. About what I was going to do with Richard's things. He didn't ask how I was sleeping. He didn't ask if I was eating. He looked at me like I was a task he needed to complete. A responsibility. Not his mother. Something had shifted between us. I felt it, but I didn't understand it yet. I need to take you back. Way back. To 1988. I was 30. Richard was 32. We'd been married less than a year. The house was new to us. Well, new to us. It was built in the 40s. It had character, Richard said. It had problems, I said. But it was ours. There was a storage room off the back of the house. Small. Maybe 8 by 10 feet. Richard said he'd use it for tools. For things we didn't need every day. I remember the day clearly. Spring. Windows open. I was unpacking kitchen boxes when I heard him in there. Moving things. Heavy things. I walked down the hallway to help. He came out fast. Grabbed both my hands. His palms were sweating. Margaret, he said. His voice was shaking. I need you to promise me something. I laughed. I thought he was being dramatic. Richard wasn't dramatic. What is it? I asked. He looked at the door. Then back at me. His eyes. God, his eyes looked terrified. Don't ever open that door. Don't ever go in there. Please. Promise me. I stared at him. Richard, what? Promise me. He squeezed my hands harder. Please. I'm asking you to trust me. Just this one thing. Never open it. I should have asked more questions. I should have demanded to know why. But I was young. I was in love. And I trusted him completely. Okay, I said. I promise. He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for hours. He kissed my forehead. He locked the door. And we never spoke about it again. I thought it was just a room. I didn't know it was a secret. 37 years. That's how long I kept that promise. I walked past that door thousands of times. I never once tried the handle. Even when we argued. Even when I was angry with him. Even when I was curious. I kept my word. Until I didn't. It was 2 weeks after the funeral. I was sorting through his dresser. Looking for something to donate. Something to keep. I found a small wooden box tucked in the back of his sock drawer. I'd never seen it before. Inside was a key. Just a key. Brass. Old. Attached to a piece of paper folded so many times it was soft like fabric. I unfolded it. 2 words. His handwriting. Forgive me. My hands started shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I looked toward the hallway. Toward that door. I knew. I knew what the key was for. I didn't go right away. I sat on the bed holding that key for maybe an hour. Maybe longer. The sun moved across the room. Shadows stretched. I kept thinking about his face that day in 1988. The fear in his eyes. The desperation in his voice. Promise me. But he was gone now. And he'd left me this key. and a note that said, "Forgive me." What was I supposed to forgive? I stood up. My legs felt weak. I walked down the hallway. The floorboards creaked under my feet, the same sound they'd made for 37 years. I stopped in front of the door. The paint was chipped near the handle. Dust in the corners of the frame. I could turn back right now. I could throw the key away. I could keep the promise. But I didn't. I whispered, "I'm sorry, Richard." And I put the key in the lock. It opened easily. Too easily. Like he'd oiled the hinges recently. Like he'd been in there. The smell hit me first. Dust. Old paper. Something stale. I reached for the light switch. A single bulb flickered on. At first, it looked like nothing. Just storage. Boxes stacked along the walls. Old tools. A rake. A folding chair. Clothes in plastic bins. I almost laughed. All this secrecy for this? But then I saw it. In the back corner. A desk. Small. Wooden. It didn't belong. Everything else in that room was junk. Forgotten things. But the desk was clean. No dust. Like he'd been sitting there recently. I walked toward it. On top was a leather satchel. The kind doctors used to carry. I unbuckled it with shaking hands. Inside were papers. Photographs. Letters tied with string. And a journal. Brown. Worn at the edges. His handwriting on the first page. I sat down in the chair. And I started reading. He wasn't hiding objects. He was hiding truth. The first entry was dated 1981. 7 years before we met. Her name is Elena. She's 3 years old today. I saw her from across the street. I wasn't supposed to be there. But I couldn't help it. I needed to see her. Just once. I stopped breathing. Elena. I'd never heard that name. Not once in 37 years. I kept reading. Her mother won't let me near her. She says I gave up that right when I walked away. Maybe she's right. Maybe I don't deserve to know her. But God, she has my eyes. My smile. She's perfect. I flipped through pages. Years of entries and watching from a distance. Birthday after birthday. First day of school. Graduations. Christmases. He wrote about her like she was his entire world. I send money when I can. Anonymous. I don't want her to know it's from me. I don't want to confuse her. But I want her to have a chance. A good life. Even if I'm not in it. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the journal. Richard had a child. A daughter. Before me. I didn't realize it then, but that choice sealed my fate. I kept reading. Page after page. The entries got more painful. Maigret asked me today if I wanted children. I said no. I lied. I want to tell her the truth. But how? How do I explain that I already have a daughter I abandoned? That I chose my career over being a father? That I'm too ashamed to even try to fix it? Tears were streaming down my face. I couldn't stop them. Elena graduated high school today. She got a scholarship. Full ride. I stood in the back of the auditorium. She didn't see me. She looked so happy. So proud. I wanted to run to her. To tell her I'm sorry. To tell her I love her. But I can't. I gave up that right 17 years ago. There were photographs tucked between pages. A little girl with dark curls. A teenager in a cap and gown. A woman in her 20s standing in front of a small house. She looked just like him. Same eyes. Same smile. Same dimple in her left cheek. And then I found the letter. It was addressed to me. Sealed. My name written in his shaky handwriting. Recent. Maybe weeks before he died. I tore it open. Maigret, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And you've found the one thing I swore I'd never let you see. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Her name is Elena Cartwright. She's 44 years old. She lives at 1247 Oakwood Drive. 20 minutes from our house. I've been watching over her for her entire life. From a distance. Like a coward. I was young when she was born. Stupid. Selfish. Her mother and I weren't meant to last. But Elena deserved better than me walking away. I convinced myself she was better off without me. That I'd ruin her life. So I left. I met you 7 years later. And I fell in love. Real love. The kind that changes you. I wanted to tell you about her. Every single day I wanted to tell you. But I was ashamed. I was terrified you'd leave me. That you'd see me for what I really am. A man who abandoned his own child. I kept her secret like a wound. I sent her money. I watched her grow. I made sure she had opportunities. But I never had the courage to tell her who I was. I never gave her the chance to know me. She's alone now, Maigret. She never married. No children. She works at the library on 5th Street. She loves books. She loves gardens. She's kind. She's smart. She's everything I wasn't. If you can find it in your heart, please tell her about me. Please tell her I'm sorry. Please tell her I never stopped loving her. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but she deserves to know the truth. I love you. I always will. Richard. I sat in that room until the sun went down. I read every letter, looked at every photograph, traced the timeline of a life he'd lived in secret. Elena, my husband's daughter, my stepdaughter. She was real. She was alive. And she had no idea her father had spent 44 years watching over her from the shadows. I thought about Michael, my son, the boy I'd raised, the man who barely looked at me anymore. I thought about the inheritance, the house, the money. Richard had left everything to me. He'd planned it that way. But Elena had nothing. No father, no family, no idea she'd been loved her entire life by a man too broken to show it. I stood up. My knees ached. My hands still shook. But I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to let Richard's cowardice define Elena's life. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with the letter, with the address, with her photograph. 1247 Oakwood Drive. 20 minutes away. She'd been 20 minutes away for years. Maybe decades. And I'd never known. The next morning, I got in my car. I didn't tell Michael. I didn't tell anyone. I just drove. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I practiced what I'd say. Over and over. Your father loved you. He never stopped loving you. I'm sorry he didn't have the courage to tell you himself. But what if she hated me? What if she blamed me? What if she thought I'd kept him from her? What if she slammed the door in my face? I almost turned around 3 times. But I didn't. 1247 Oakwood Drive was a small house. Blue shutters. A garden in the front yard. Roses. Daisies. Tomatoes in neat rows. It looked peaceful. I parked across the street. I sat there for 10 minutes. Maybe longer. My heart was racing. Then the front door opened. And she stepped out. Dark curls. 44 years old. Wearing jeans and a green sweater. She had a watering can in her hand. She walked to the garden and started watering the roses. I got out of the car. My legs felt like lead. I crossed the street. She didn't notice me at first. She was humming. Something soft. Something familiar. Excuse me, I said. She looked up. And I saw it. Richard's eyes. Richard's smile. Richard's dimple. I started crying before I could stop myself. I'm sorry, I said. I'm so sorry. My name is Ma Gray. I was married to Richard Holloway. Her face went pale. The watering can slipped from her hand. Water spilled across the stones. What? She whispered. He died 3 weeks ago, I said. And he left me something. Something you need to see. We sat at her kitchen table. I spread the photographs out in front of her. The letters. The journal. The proof. She didn't speak for a long time. She just stared. Her hands trembled. Tears streamed down her face. He watched me, she whispered. Every milestone, I said. Every birthday. Every achievement. He was there. He didn't know how to tell you. Why? Her voice cracked. Why didn't he just talk to me? He was ashamed, I said. He thought he didn't deserve you. She covered her face with her hands and sobbed. Deep, painful sobs that shook her entire body. I reached across the table. I took her hand. He never stopped loving you, I said. And I'm here now, because you deserve to know that. You deserve to know him, even if it's too late. She looked up at me. Her eyes were red, swollen, but there was something else there too. Hope. Tell me about him, she whispered. And I did. We talked for hours, and I told her everything how we met. How he made me laugh, how he loved old westerns and hated strawberries and always hummed while he cooked. I told her about his hands, his voice, about the way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't watching. I showed her more photographs of him at 50, at 60 and at 66. She traced his face with her fingers like she was memorizing it. He looks kind, she said softly. He was, I said. But he was also afraid, and that fear kept him from you. I'm so sorry, Elena, he didn't give you the chance to know him. It's not your fault, she said. But it felt like it was. I didn't realize it then, but that moment changed everything. I invited her to the house. Our house. Richard's house. I wanted her to see where he lived, where he read, where he sat every morning with his coffee. She said yes. We drove there together. I showed her his chair, his favorite mug, his books on the shelf. She ran her fingers over the spines like they were holy. He loved mysteries, I said. Me too, she whispered. I took her to the garden Richard had planted roses every year. She knelt down and touched the petals. He loved roses, I said. It was like meeting a ghost. A beautiful, living ghost of the man I'd lost. I made tea. We sat in the living room. The same room where Richard and I had spent thousands of nights. She looked around like she was trying to memorize every detail. You belong here, I said suddenly. She looked at me confused. This was his home, I said to her. But it's yours too. You're his daughter. You deserve to be here, to know this place, to feel close to him. Her eyes filled with tears again. I don't want to intrude, she said. You're not intruding, I said firmly. Your family. I hadn't said that word in weeks. It felt good to say it again. That's when my son came home. I heard his car in the driveway, the front door open. Michael walked in carrying a box, probably more of Richard's things he wanted to go through. He stopped when he saw Elena. Who's this? He asked. His tone was sharp, suspicious. I stood up. Michael, this is Elena. She's Richard's daughter, said quietly. The box fell from Michael's hands. It hit the floor with a crash. What? He said. Your father had a daughter before we met, I said carefully. He kept it secret. But she's here now, and she deserves to know about him. Michael's face went red. Are you serious? Yes. And you just invited her here? Into Dad's house. Into our house, I corrected. She's family, Michael. He laughed. It wasn't a kind laugh. Family? Mom, you don't even know her. She could be lying and could be after his money. She's not lying, I said. I have proof. Letters. Photographs. Your father documented everything. I don't care, Michael snapped. She's a stranger. And you're choosing her over me. I'm not choosing anyone over. Yes, you are, he said. His voice was cold. Dad just died, and instead of grieving with me, with your actual son, you're playing house with some woman who claims to be related to us. Elena stood up. I should go. No, I said. You don't have to go. Yes, she does, Michael said. I looked at my son, the boy I raised, the man I thought I knew. And I realized I didn't know him at all. I lost my husband. And now I was losing my son too. Michael left that night. He didn't say goodbye, he just left. The door slammed so hard the windows rattled. Elena looked at me with so much guilt in her eyes. I'm sorry, she said. I shouldn't have come. Don't apologize, I said. This isn't your fault. His grief will come around. But I wasn't sure. He called the next day and said to me I was making a mistake, that Elena was manipulating me. That I was dishonoring Richard's memory by bringing a stranger into our lives. She's not a stranger, I said. She's his daughter. She's nothing, Michael spat. And if you keep doing this and keep choosing her, then I'm done. Done with what? With you. He hung up. I sat there holding the phone, staring at the screen. My hands were shaking again. I didn't realize it then, but that was the moment everything broke. Michael started spreading rumors. He told my family I was being scammed, told our neighbors I'd lost my mind in my grief. He told Richard's brother that I was disrespecting the family. People started looking at me differently, whispering, avoiding me at the grocery store. Elena wanted to leave. She said she didn't want to cause problems, but I told her to stay. You're not the problem, I said. You're the solution. You're the part of Richard the first didn't know I was missing. And I meant it. But Michael wasn't done. He filed a legal claim. He said I wasn't mentally competent to manage Richard's estate, that I was being manipulated, that Elena was a fraud. He demanded a DNA test. Elena agreed immediately. She had nothing to hide. The results came back 2 weeks later. 99.7% match. She was Richard's daughter, no question. Michael went quiet after that. He didn't apologize, he didn't call, he just disappeared from my life. I wish I could tell you this story has a happy ending. I wish I could tell you Michael came back. That he apologized, that we reconciled. But he didn't. It's been 8 months now. Elena comes over every Sunday. We cook together, we garden together, we talk about Richard. We cry together, we laugh together. She's filled a hole in my life I didn't know existed. But Michael is gone. He doesn't return my calls. He doesn't visit. He sent divorce papers for the estate. He wants his half now. He doesn't want to wait. He looks at me like I'm a stranger. And maybe to him, I am. I think about Richard's letter every day. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I forgave him. The moment I read those words, I forgave him. Because I understand now. I understand fear and shame. I understand the weight of secrets. Richard kept Elena hidden because he thought it would protect everyone. But secrets don't protect. They destroy. They destroyed his relationship with his daughter, and now they've destroyed my relationship with my son. If you're watching this, if you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for not judging. Thank you for letting me tell the truth. I don't know if Michael will ever forgive me. I don't know if he'll ever understand. But I know this. Elena deserved to know her father. And I wasn't going to let fear stop me from giving her that. Even if it cost me everything. My name is Maugret. I'm 67 years old. I opened a door I promised never to open. And I found a daughter I never knew I had. I lost my husband. I lost my son. But I gained something too. I gained the truth. And sometimes the truth is worth the price. Even when it breaks you.